Hi, it's a Lipstick Gal. Thank you so much for watching today. I wanted to go through, show you my Viseart collection, and rank the palettes from the ones that I use the least frequently to the tippy top ones that I love and reach for constantly. Now, some of these are placed where they are because they seem a little more seasonal to me and I don't use them every single day of the year. And then there are other ones that, because they're a little bit newer and a little bit more of that, ooh, shiny, they're a little bit higher up. So this is all based on what I'm feeling today. So the one that I reach for the absolute least is this one right here. This is a Pettifor called Pastille. It's because it has one of the shades that intimidates me the most, and that's bright blue. And this is a really beautiful blue. I love that it's very close to the blue in my blouse, but I just don't know how to wear blue eyeshadow. I just don't. I feel like the other thing that's really interesting is that, you know, the mattes are definitely on the warmer side, and then you have this really cool blue. It's a beautiful color palette, but I'm not really sure how to get beautiful looks out of it without looking like I'm trying too hard. So this is the one that I reach for the least, but there are times that I'll take a shade or two out of this palette to create something new. The next one that I wish I used a lot more is this one right here. This is the Tyrian Pettifor, and I love this, but another color family that I struggle with is purple. And because this shade here is so deep, it can sometimes look like a bruise on my face. I love the other three in here, and which is why I'm saying I wish I reached for it more. But when I see this palette, all I think of, because the exterior is so deep, is this deep shade here, knowing that sometimes it can cause problems for me. But what I should do, because every single one of these palettes has magnetic pans that you can pull out and remove, I should pull this one out, put a different shade in here, and put it in rotation, because I love most of what's in here and I think it's beautiful. It's just a matter of being unsure of how to use that one shade without it looking like I got punched in the eye. Okay, here's one that I really enjoy. I just have a problem with one of the shades in here. This is the Violetta. And this one is so beautiful. And my favorite shade in here is the one that I have problems with. And it's this duochrome right here. And the problem that I have with it, and you can see it kind of gets everywhere. You can see that we've got sparkle all through here, all around the edges. It is beautiful, but it doesn't really stay. There's not a lot of binder in here. So when you tap it on your eye, it ends up kind of falling off and going everywhere. Even sometimes with the glitter glue, I struggle with this. And I love the color story in here. I also really like this deep charcoal shade. This is about as deep as I like to go with some of my eye looks. So I really like this palette, and I long for this like duochrome, except for that it is kind of difficult to use sometimes. So it doesn't get used as often as it should. Here's one that I would have loved more in the mid teens. So like 2016, 2017, I would have loved this one in Pesh a little bit more, because that's when we were just dying for those peach shades. And this one is really beautiful. It has some really lovely shades in here. I especially like this really, it almost looks like an orange sorbet or a sherbet shade, and I love it so much. But sometimes I feel like this pulls just a little bit too warm on me, so this is one that I don't reach for nearly as much. I feel like we're past the point of the ones that either I wish I reached for more, or the ones that are just really not designed for my color palette. And we're getting into the ones that I actually really enjoy. I feel like the quality is great on every single Viseart palette. There are just a few things here and there that kind of have these ranked where they are. So the next one I wanted to show you is this one. This is the Chocolat, and I really like this palette, but again, it leans a little bit warm. And since I'm kind of in a season of wanting cool eyeshadows, I feel like that's why this one is a little bit lower in the list, but it is beautiful. And for me, I love the metallics. The metallic formulas are stunning. I just love how they shine. The mattes are really great, but for me, it's the metallics that really make these palettes sing. And this one's got some beautiful ones. Here's one that I tend to reach for during the holidays, and it might be because it was released during the holidays, but this is the Garnet palette. It has some absolutely stunning shades. I particularly love this kind of cranberry shade here. Oh, it's so pretty, so pretty. But even like these metallic shades, the rest of them, they're just, I mean, they look like little jewels. They're just absolutely stunning. I really feel like the pigment is never an issue. The formula is never an issue. It just comes down to I don't always wear these shades, but when I do, oh man, is it a fabulous look. Here's one of the original Pettifours. When they first launched in 2020, this is one that it took me a little while to pick up. This is the Framboise, and it is a lovely, beautiful little pink palette. If you love pink eyeshadows, I really think you would like this. One of my favorite things about Viseart is that the powders blend effortlessly, in my opinion, and also, especially since I love a sparkle, I love a shine, the shimmers never end up making my more textured eyelids, I'm 50 now, look like they're crepey. They never emphasize the texture, and they just look really beautiful on the eye. That's my favorite thing about Viseart, is just the textures and the overall quality of them. They last really well, they stay all day, but then they also end up not emphasizing that kind of looser skin on my eyelids the older that I get. But this one in Framboise is lovely. This is one that I love to wear in spring. It is so beautiful. This is the shade Pistache. And I particularly love the greens in here. I was sure that I wasn't going to use either of these greens until I put them on the eye. And it makes the most beautiful pastel green eye. I struggle with blue, I struggle with purple, but me and a green, love, love. And this one's fantastic. All right, different size palette. This is one of the Petite Pros, and this is the London Etoile. I just received this in my Beautylish lucky bag for this year. So this is a beautiful palette. I really, really like the colors in here. The only one, of course, that I'm a little bit scared of is the bright purple, but it's beautiful. I love that this came in my Beautylish lucky bag. This is not the first time I've gotten a Viseart palette. I think this is the third Viseart palette I've gotten in a lucky bag from Beautylish. The very first one is the one that made me sit up and pay attention. I normally would not have purchased one of those palettes because at the very beginning they had those large 12 pan palettes with really large size eyeshadows, and they were $80 a piece. And I was like, I'm not spending $80 on an eyeshadow palette. But if I hadn't gotten one in a Beautylish lucky bag, I don't know that I would have ever fallen down the Viseart rabbit hole. And now that I have, they literally have one of my favorite eyeshadow formulas. I love the color stories that they have. I love how I can reach for them and even still at 50, put on a shimmery, glimmery eye and not worry about it making me look like I have lizard skin on my eyelids. I really, really love that. And this little one here, the London Etoile, is beautiful. Here's one of my favorites for spring. Oddly enough, it's a purple palette. This one right here is Lavande. Okay, so if we were just to take out this one right here, this is how I wear it. I like this shade. I have to be so careful with it. So a lot of times I will use these shades here to build a really soft pastel-y eye and then top it with this shade here, and it is stunning. I will sometimes pull this in as eyeliner or just to slightly deepen the outer corner, but a lot of times it's just these three right here, and I love this so much. But it reminds me of spring. It kind of reminds me of like those Easter egg colors, those soft pastels, and this one in Lavande is so much fun to wear. This is the Amelie. This is one that definitely runs a little bit warmer. This reminds me of some of the other Pettifours because we have two really bright, almost like coppery shades. Like one of these is like, looks like truly like a penny, and then a beautiful kind of warm peachy type of gold in here. The browns in here, I wish that these were a little bit like this one either was a little bit darker and this one was a little bit lighter, because on my eye, when I put these on, I can't always tell the difference between the two. So when I use this, I pull in another palette that has a deeper brown just so that I can get that range of depth. But this one is so much fun to wear. I mentioned earlier how much I enjoy green eyeshadow, and this is one of my favorite little green palettes. This is the Peridot. This is part of a holiday collection from 2021, and they were all jewel tones. And then beyond that, I loved that they were kind of inspired by the jazz age. So there's a lot of Art Deco touches to the exterior packaging. And I really, really love this palette here. It's so beautiful. It has a really nice, not quite a camel, but really close to that, kind of a slightly sparkly khaki shade. And then these two greens, I love wearing these greens where I lay the dark one down first, and then I take this yellowy green over the top. It is so beautiful. I love this palette so much. It's so much fun to wear. And this is one that I wear year round. If I'm looking for something green, I almost always reach for this. Another one from the same collection is this one right here. This is Lapis. Okay, you're gonna go, wait, I thought you said you didn't like blue eyeshadow. I like blue eyeshadow. I just don't always know how to wear it. But this one, there's something about the tone of this blue that is easy for me to wear. I usually don't just like swirl it on and throw it on my eyelid. What I normally do, let me show you. I mean, they're so beautiful, is I take this blue, swatch it down where I want it, and then I take this lighter silvery blue over the top, and it kind of transforms it into something where it's not too dark, but is still definitely a blue. And I really, really like that because I like lighter blues, but I can't always pull off a blue like this. But wearing it like this just makes it so much easier for me. But I like that we have another really sparkly, kind of metallic-y copper shade in here. And this warm vanilla shade just makes this a super easy palette to reach for. Here's one palette that I didn't know I needed until I saw it. This is the Lilas Dew, or the Lilas kind of part 2. The original Lilas palette is one of my absolute faves, but the reason that I love it is that it has this really stunning, almost platinum shade in here, along with this kind of more mauve tone. I feel like these two shades here are very similar to shades in the Lilas palette, but then they brought in something darker. And then they brought in a warm shade. And oh my goodness, these metallics are so stunning. I mean, they're just beautiful. This is one of my favorite palettes to wear in the fall and in the winter. It's beautiful all year round, but I tend to reach for it more during the cooler months. This is the palette that cured me of my fear of black eyeshadow. Like purple and like blue, I struggle with really deep dark shades, and this one in Bouillon has a black in here. But this black is the sort of black that it's not so inky the minute you touch it down. Can you build it up to be a true black that's very inky? It's not kind of gray. Yes, you can. But I like that this gives me the option of either lightly applying it, and it's not like just pure like black pigment the first time I touch it down. It can be smoky, it can be a little bit lighter, and that's usually how I wear it. But I also love putting these metallic golds over the top of the black, but they're just so stunning. They're so fantastic. I love this palette, and anytime I'm looking to do a smoky eye, I reach for this. Here's the palette that really made me fall in love with Viseart. And this was a release in the fall of 2020. This is the Praline palette. Oh my goodness. Everything my heart wanted. Warm metallic shades with a neutral brown. This is so, so stunning. I feel like these two shades here are the ones that I use all the time, just like a one swipe over the eye. They're absolutely stunning. You could use one shade or all the shades in this palette. And when that initial Pet of 4 release came out with those first 4 shades, I picked up this one and the Lilas palette, and I was head over heels. And that kind of started me going down the Viseart rabbit hole, where before I had liked the brand, but this palette right here made me fall in love with the brand. So this one has a special place in my collection. Finally getting into the Étendue palettes. This one right here is the Paris Love Letter. It definitely has spring vibes. We've got some peaches, we've got a lavender shade, we've got more of a lime green in here. I love that we have some warmth in through here with these peachy shades, but then also some darkness. And I like these metallics across the bottom. They're so beautiful. I don't know that I would always have thought about pairing these sorts of colors with the warmer peach tones in here, but they work beautifully. Definitely one of the ones that I love reaching for in the spring. Here's one that I love the packaging of. I love the shades of. This is the Soleil La Plage. This is one of those palettes that just screams summer. And my favorite blue is in here. I love this blue. Oh my goodness. It's like the best thing ever. It's a little icy. It's got a little bit of warmth to it. Is it weird to say that a blue has warmth to it? But it certainly does, because it pairs so well with like this marigold shade or this very vibrant orange shade. And the only shade in this palette that I haven't used is this one. I should probably do it sometime, but I love this pale butter yellow. I love this deep dark brown here that has a touch of warmth to it. You can see there's a kind of like a line here on the side. That's where I'll put a drop of setting spray and use it to create a paste to make it a little bit of a liner. So I use this for all sorts of things. Definitely one that I reach for a ton, especially in summer. This next palette is one that I love so much. This is the Paris Edit. Oh, this palette here just makes me think of like Valentine's Day. Makes me think of kind of cool winter looks without being too much. I love that we have more mauve shades here, some pale pinks and this gray. And then in the middle, we have some warmth. We have a peachy tone. We have these two really beautiful metallics that definitely have some warmth to them. So if I'm looking for cooler tones, I'll stick to the outside columns. And if I'm looking for something a little bit warmer, I will use these guys here in the middle. But this is one of those that definitely gives me like Valentine vibes. I really love this one. These next two palettes are the $80 palettes that I was like, I don't think I'm ever going to buy one of those. And the first one that I got ever was this one. Love this one. This is the 01 Neutral Mattes. This is what came in my Beautylish Lucky Bag that made me just go like, wait, what? Who is this brand? And what I love about this is that you can use it for so many different things. I can't tell you how many times I've used this shade in my eyebrows, or how many times I've used this to set my lid. This one here is another one that I use for eyeliner. I love these kind of cool tones here. You definitely have a lot of warmth in through here and some very nice neutral browns. This is so helpful. It's put in specific packaging for a pro makeup artist so that you can see what there is, and it's very slim. But the truth is, when I tried this, I was super impressed. But I love that these are all just mattes. That coming in my Beautylish Lucky Bag made me go and pick up this. I finally said, okay, it's worth it. I'm spending the $80 and I'm getting the Sultry Muse. This is one that I feel like the textures are just starting to change, and what I'm probably going to do is I'm probably going to let this one go. I will go and pick up the smaller version of this because I love all of the metallics in here, but I feel like they don't stay on the eye as well as they used to. I feel like the formula is changing because I've had it for a minute. But I really love how I could, with both of these palettes, create a myriad of looks. That's the best thing about Viseart, is that it doesn't take a lot because their formulas are so beautiful. The mattes are great, but the metallics in here, I mean, they were everything I ever wanted, and I loved them so much. But I definitely feel like these have lost some of their creaminess, and it's time to probably let this one go and replace it with the smaller version. I'm not much of a purple eyeshadow wearer, but if I'm going to find like my perfect purple palette, This is it. This is the Violette Vespertine. I never picked up the original Violette because some of the purples in there are so bright. There's so much. But this one right here is the exact level of purple that I'm looking for. We do definitely have a bright purple here. We've got some other ones, but this one has such a lovely amount of gray in it. It's perfect for my fair skin tone. And this being as dark as we get really makes this easy to wear. Never thought I'd be a purple eyeshadow wearer, and then I came across this palette and it totally changed my mind. Here's one of my favorite little palettes. This is a Solstice palette. This is one of those that I love taking when I go traveling. And the reason that I love this palette is because it can create a wide range of looks. It's very, very warm, but my favorite shade is this one right here. In the pan, it looks straight up Barbie pink, but it is a beautiful duochrome that goes from pink to blue. It's such a beautiful shift. And tapping this over any eye look I create with this just makes my heart so happy. I love that we have a dark shade here. We've got some lighter ones. We've got some beautiful metallics in here. It's a great split of mattes and metallics, but this duochrome shade in the corner is the one that just makes me fall in love with this palette. Another one, I would say its sister palette, is this one, is the Midsummer palette. And this one has also gotten a lot of use and a lot of love and has a very similar duochrome here in the corner. This one is more of like a purple to blue flip, and it's beautiful over the rest of the eye. But I love how subtle this is. It has some of those really beautiful mauve tones. It can pull a little pink if you pull this in, but the rest of it is really beautiful and desaturated and perfect for my fair complexion. I love this little palette. This is the Hesperides. This is one of those palettes that I reach for when I don't know what I want to do. We all have one of those palettes, the one that you know you can trust and you reach for when you're like, well, I don't know, I need something easy, I need something fast. That's when I reach for this one. But I like that we have some beautiful metallics in here and two not deeply saturated mattes. That's my favorite thing. But do you see how they shine? They're just stunning. Love this one. Remember how I told you the Praline Pedophore was the one that really made me fall in love with Viseart? When they came out with the Praline Epicé, I had to have it. And I love this. What makes this special to me is that when I was head over heels for the Praline palette and those warmer tones, I was really into those warm tones. And then somewhere around 2022, early 2023, I started really longing for cool eyeshadow. So we do have these beautiful shadows here, but then they brought in this right here. And this shade here is such a beautiful, easy to wear, cool, almost like a bedroom eyes brown, but not quite so brown. It's kind of got that coolness to it that I really, really love. And it pairs beautifully these two together, or these two together, or these two together. You could wear all of them. You could wear one of them. You could wear them as duos. It's just a super easy palette to wear. I love the addition of the cool shade in here. I think it really makes it. Let's talk about another Etendu palette. This is one of my favorites. This is the Kashmiri Charmeuse. This is one that I think came out in 2023, if I'm not wrong, or early 2024. And it has everything that my heart wants because it has some really beautiful duochromes in here. It has some really stunning mattes. And then I really, really like the way that they're just super creamy and super lovely. I really, really love this palette. Like you have like the metallics in here are so nice. And then also the mattes are super easy to wear. This palette right here has everything that I want. I especially love this kind of little bit blue flip with a kind of like a red base to it. It's so lovely. This is one of my favorite palettes to wear. Okay, we're getting close to the end here. We're definitely in the top 5, and at number 5 is this. This little Lilas palette here is definitely one of the jewels in my collection. I love. Oh my goodness. I didn't know that I wanted cool eyeshadows until I tried this. And this is kind of what kind of took me down that whole avenue of let's reach for more cool shades, less warm, more cool. This is the one right here. And for me, the metallics in here, they're like liquid platinum. They're like like dripping silver. Just so beautiful, so beautiful. I feel like this really works well on fair and light skin tones because these mattes here don't have a lot of punch to them. And I would say these two shades here are very similar to the shades in the Lila's Dew, but the other one has, you know, that warm shade and then a deeper matte in it. But this is the one that really made me just go, okay, I can wear cool eyeshadows and I want to wear cool eyeshadows. Number 4, my most reached for Pettifor, I'll just tell you, is the Isolde. I love this palette so much. It's got everything I want. It has a little bit of pink in through here. This minky shade here is just absolutely stunning. And I love the brown matte. There's something about this palette. There's a little bit of rosiness to it as well. I just find it super easy to wear. Super, super easy. This shade here is the one that has that touch of rose to it, but it is so beautiful. This is another one that when I don't know what I want to wear, I reach for this one. Between this one and the Hesperides are the ones that kind of get me out of that, well, I don't know, try this. Up until just recently, I would say my favorite Viseart palette of all time was this. This is the Cashmere palette. So years ago, Viseart used to do a 6-pan palette called their Theory palettes. And one of the palettes they had that I always wanted to get and I never got was the Cashmere palette. And what I love is that you have the same colors of the Cashmere palette right here. If you were to cover up these 6 shades, these are the same size and the same shades that you would have gotten in the Cashmere palette. But this Cashmere has an extended, you've got some beautiful rich berry tones in through here, some beautiful metallics, and some really soft kind of pinky shades to go along with the warmth and the coolness that we have in the cashmere side of this. It's such a beautiful palette. I reach for it so often. This is one of my most used and best loved palettes. And then last year they released this absolute stunner of a palette, the Paris Reveries. Okay, this is the way that I love to wear lavender purple shades. There's something about like this right here, this collection of shades, especially this. And normally I would not be the sort of person going, yeah, let's put purple on the eye. But I like how desaturated this is. I feel like we don't get to be too purple. We don't get to be too peach. Even this shade here and this shade here doesn't get to be too dark. I feel like this is the absolute perfect palette for somebody who wants to play with color without it overwhelming their face, especially if you have a fair or light complexion. I know that this has been out of stock, but I just saw on Instagram that they're bringing it back for springtime. So if you did not get this before, it will be available soon on the Viseart website. I don't know what like the date is, but they were like dreaming of springtime and they were showing this and I was like, oh yay, finally, because that is definitely one of my favorites. My top palette right now is the latest one that I picked up from Viseart. And it's the Cyranouse Attendu. I love this palette. The color story in here is what gets me. So this palette is very different because there's no mirror in here. They are looking to be more sustainable, use less glass so it's easier to recycle. I'm curious, there's a lot of magnets in here. What's interesting is that this completely comes out. And if I were to get a whole bunch of these palettes, I could put them just like this in a magnetic palette and have like a whole bunch of them lined up next to each other. Again, if I wanted to, I could just pull out the shades and swap them around with other ones, but I love that this is that versatile. The other thing that's great about this is that this turns into a little easel. So if you're wanting to do your makeup and have things easy, you can put this on the table right in front of you, grab what you need and go. I don't particularly miss the mirror. I think if I were traveling more and I wanted to take this with me, it would be difficult not to have the mirror. But if you're at home, chances are you've got a mirror handy. The shades in here are spectacular. I particularly love this blue duochrome down here. It's so pretty. It's kind of like a purple to blue. It's so lovely. We also have more blue over here. This one's a little bit darker, but I love how this leans decidedly cool, is very inspired by the ocean. This is absolutely my tippy top favorite right now. I think if you were to ask me in like 2 or 3 more months, I might have these rearranged a little bit differently. But it was so much fun showing you my Viseart collection and ranking them from the ones that I use the least to the ones that I can't stop reaching for. I would love to know if you are a Viseart fan. Do you have any of these? Do you have a favorite Viseart palette? Do you have ones that I don't have that you're like, you know what you need? You need to get the... Let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you so, so much for making the time to watch today. I'll do my best to link as many of these as I can for you in the description bar down below. But I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.